Good morning and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network, and today's topic is wonder and how wonder can be a restorative force for us to connect us back with the magic of our world and lift our spirits to a new level. So wonder is one of my favorite topics of all. And good morning, Rosalind. So good to have you here with us this morning, and welcome to everybody else who's joining us. I'm looking forward to our conversation about wonder. But before we get started on this Friday, let's take a minute or two to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale, exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And this time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your cells, your molecules, your electrons, creating a brilliant beam of light and energy from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale, exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together. Vigorously rub your hands together, feel all the sensations, the friction, the pressure, the motion, the temperature, and the tickling and tingling when you stop, and allow all of those sensations to bring you present right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables you to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So good to be here with you at the close of yet another week. They just keep flying by. I don't know where the time goes. Anyway, we are on the cusp of a new month, and the end of a week and the beginning of a new month. And when we talk about wonder, I think that there's nothing that heals my heart so quickly as allowing myself the experience of wonder. And it's something that it's magic that we can so easily conjure. And for me anyway, wonder is a profoundly expansive experience where connecting to the miraculous, when we look around us, when we presence ourselves to nature, when we allow ourselves to unknow a lot of what we know, when we allow ourselves to go past our standard assumptions of familiarity with our environment and actually start to be present to it through the eyes of a child, without all the assumptions, without the labels, then what emerges is this rich sense of magic and the ineffable being something that words cannot capture. Like, what is it that is animating this experience, this world? I remember as a kid, I spent lots and lots and lots of time with rocks, minerals, and I have a collection of all kinds of wonderful rocks, and I could just fall into the world of these forms, and just the space of wonder at how could this be, these wonderful crystals and formations and colors and angles, and it was a very easy passage into this place of extraordinary beauty and mystery. And the truth is that we can, if we allow ourselves to, we can access that from pretty much any avenue. By but nature is just such an easy entryway into that magical world, because we do live in a magical world if we just look around. And for me anyway, the sense of wonder is a place of healing, because it's so deeply expansive and heart opening, heart and mind opening, when we allow ourselves to forget our forget our knowing. So we can just look at something and wonder, like something as simple as this. Now, this is human made, but if we can look at something as simple as this and wonder at the color, wonder at the shadows and the shadow play and the edges, and how this thing interacts with me. Like, what is it when my fingers are touching this thing? What is happening? What are those sensations? What's creating that? What are the contours of it? What are the nuances of this thing? What can I discover about it when I allow myself to be free of my ideas of what it is? And when I can presence myself to the sensation of it in my hands, and even to wonder about that sensation, like what makes something feel smooth and what makes something feel furry or prickly or soft or hard. It's as we allow ourselves to begin to question our common assumptions, new worlds appear. And that space of wonder and that space of marveling at the complexity of our experience, to me anyway, is profoundly liberating and restorative. Well, that's because for me, uh, the magic and marvel of things is the source of life energy for me. And it's also a profound source of hope, I guess. It is an antidote to the overwhelming malaise that can occur as a result of seeing all the challenges that we face in the world. And so It's an antidote to all um, the heaviness, that we can experience in looking at all the challenges that we face in day-to-day life and culturally, socially, globally. Um, it just is restorative. So I'm wondering for you, what's your experience of wonder? Do you allow yourself that indulgence, that recuperative intermezzo, so to speak, to allow yourself to just take a break and indulge in that, I say indulge, but it's like a lifeline for me anyway, to allow myself to just presence myself to to what it is beyond all the categorization, to be present to the experience of the world without the lens of the knowing that kind of allows us to dismiss so much of it, right? Because this thing is a thing that we use, right? And we um we tend to focus our attention on the functionality of things, the utility of things, um, rather than on the essence of them. And I recognize that we need to do that to survive, so that we do stuff, we take care of things, we eat, um, we take care of things, we create things, we manage things. And there the when we can allow ourselves to connect to the essence, the essential, then there's a new vitality that's available to us. There's a renewal. There's a reconnection, that it's like charging a battery for me. I don't know if you have a similar experience or not. I'm curious to know if that's true. Rosalind says, I do indulge in mystical wonder. To what extent do we practice balance? Some people say they never read the news. We need to know to some extent what's going on in our community, state, the country, and the world. Well, it's interesting when we talk about the news. Um, we've been talking about awareness a lot this week, and this notion of wonder is a different dimension of awareness for sure. The news, it's interesting to me because the news is curated. The news is curated. So depending upon how we interact with it, it may or may not be a beneficial thing for us. We want to say we need to know to some extent what's going on in our community, state, country, and the world. The question is, what kind of action are we taking to keep up on that? Our news is always coming through a filter. There's lots and lots and lots happening that isn't making it to the news. And we tend to be in echo chambers that are highlighting the things that we are persistently interested in. You know, that's how the algorithms, for instance, the online algorithms work. They serve us information based on information that we've already seen. So they tend to reinforce the notions that we already have. And certainly different news outlets are going to focus on different things. For instance, we really don't hear very much of anything about what's happening environmentally unless we go and seek it out. It's not something that is on our mainstream news feeds for the most part, unless there's some kind of critical chemical spill or something like that that is of a disastrous proportion, and then we hear about it. But we're not hearing generally about the fight that is going on so many fronts around trying to preserve and protect our earth and our future. We're not hearing about lawsuits. Like it's not in mainstream media, but there's a group called Our Children's Trust who has been suing the governments of different states and trying to sue the federal government for damaging the environment that is therefore then impeding upon our rights to pursue life and happiness, right? And in fact, I believe it was just yesterday that the UN passed a resolution around the right to a clean and healthful environment. This just happened, but it's not on mainstream news. It should be on the front page of all newspapers. If you look up, I think it's UN Global Resolution regarding climate change. This just happened yesterday, but we don't hear about it. And this is a really, really big deal. So when you talk about keeping up with what's going on, we get to recognize that we are being fed information that is very heavily curated. And I don't know how we combat that necessarily. You know, it could be a full-time job to try and stay informed about all these different areas that we might deem important. There's so much in the news that is, to me, is a distraction. You know, we're not hearing what's happening in the tar sands. We're not hearing what's happening in the fight against fossil fuel domination. We're not hearing about laws that are being passed that erode our rights. You know, there's all kinds of stuff we're not hearing about, you know. And anyway, this is getting away from the topic of wonder. And the reason I think for the topic of wonder today is that I was feeling particularly overwhelmed by a lot of the craziness that is going on, and just needed to restore myself and bring myself back to a place of presence to the magic of what it is to be here on this planet, despite all the profound challenges. And maybe because of all the profound challenges too. But it's being able to come back to this place of wonder. As I said, it's instantly restorative. It's instantly brings back a sparkle, and instantly brings back some strength to a heart that could have become disheartened easily, looking around at our world. And there are wonderful, wonderful things happening at the same time that there are so many challenges, of course. And finding that balance as we try to stay abreast of what's happening, as you're saying, Rosalind, and also as we attempt to engage in the world in whatever capacity we do, we need ways to be able to sustain ourselves, to revitalize, to reinvigorate ourselves, and being present to wonder, for me, is kind of that magic formula. So I offer it to you as an opportunity. Like I have this piece of lava rock sitting right present with me. I think maybe it's not lava rock. I'm guessing it's actually old coral, and it's so enigmatic, to just be able to be present to this thing that grew in the ocean and saw so much life and energy moving through the waters, and to imagine it being alive and all these wonderful little holes in it through which it filtered its food. And as we allow ourselves to step away from all the mundane considerations that obsess us and redirect our attention to something that is inexplicable, that is beyond our understanding. Because, even something like this, let's say we know the process through which it's made. But even that, the materials, the injection molding, the fact that there's this material, I love that there's like this glow around this thing that's showing up on the screen. But when we question, all of a sudden a whole new world opens up. If I call this thing a Sharpie, then I can dismiss it and I think I know what it is. But the truth is, I don't really know how it was created. There's so much magic in all of it. The different states of the material, the machinery that was developed to develop it, the fact that it holds together, that it doesn't dry out so quickly. I mean, all kinds of things are just sort of wondrous and magical about it. So Rosalind says, I'm curious about sensitizing hands to feel the aura and energy for myself and others, and how to use crystals for cleaning or energizing. So, that's such a good question. And it occurs to me that part of the sensitization is stepping outside of our knowing, to actually be curious, like what am I present to if I let my preconceptions go and allow myself to to feel into the experience of a rock, of a crystal, of a thing, um, and and to be curious about energy and sensing. I think that that's the first part of the experience, that we get to connect to our senses, that's a wondrous thing, because for the most part, we dull our senses, we dull our perception through our knowing. And when we come to this place of wonder, when we come to this place of expansive openness, then there's a new access that we gain to what's available. So we've talked a lot in the past about how our mind acts as a filtering device, not as a receiver, as much as filtering out information. And this sense of wonder allows us access to go beyond those filters. What we're doing is kind of dismantling those filters or suspending those filters for a period of time that enables us then to have a richer experience of what is. And then we can experience a greater sensitivity. Like my fingers are still kind of tingling from holding that coral, in a way that they don't normally. Like if I just pick it up and put it from one place to another, I'm not really present to it, and I'm not really. I'm kind of shut down, and that's how we operate. Is with all of our filters operating to remove impulse and input, so that we can function, because otherwise it would be so overwhelming, all the information. And so when we allow ourselves to lift those filters, then there's a much, much richer experience available to us. So, Rosalind, for you especially, I imagine that if you can presence yourself to wonder, that would be a great opening to develop your sensitivity, to suspend those filters and thereby open yourself to a new dimension of experience with curiosity. Curiosity is a profound gateway to awareness and transformation. So with that, it's Friday. I wish you a wonderful weekend. May you experience great curiosity and wonder and expansiveness. And I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection. And I go live here each weekday morning on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel. And Rosalind says, thank you for these inspiring and nurturing core connections. Thank you so much, Rosalind. It means so much that you're here with such regularity, and for all the other folks who join us, it's very supportive and rewarding to me to have your support, and to be able to share these conversations together. It's such a gift, and I'm deeply grateful to you. And I invite you all to check out the other awesome programming on Enlightened World Network and Enlightened World Living. And I hope to see you again here real soon. And until then,